Thank you, sir. I'd also like to offer a very warm welcome to our Minister Sahab, who has graced us with his presence once again. Thank you for joining us, sir. The agla panel hai Building a Tech Ecosystem in Peshawar. It is being moderated by Mohammad Uzair. And can I please call upon stage for the panel Mr. Asim Ishaq, Mr. Amjad Arbab, Ms. Mehvish Arafeen, Dr. Ali Mehmud, and Qazi Waheed. In a round of applause, please. तालियों के बारे में आप लोग बहुत ज़्यादा कंजूस हैं वैसे ये क्यों कर रहे हैं आप सुबह सुबह का वक्त है हम चाहते हैं थोड़े से जोश और वलवले के साथ अपने गेस्ट को वेलकम करें Dr. Faisal, are you here? Dr. Faisal, please join us on stage.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum everyone and good morning. We'll have a very quick round of introductions and then we can straight go into the panel discussion. So yeah, starting with you, Mehvish. So just to turn it on.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. मेरा नाम Mehvish Arafeen है और मैं Invest to Innovate की CEO हूँ. Invest to Innovate जो है वो एक startup ecosystem builder है. हम entrepreneurs के साथ, startups के साथ, stakeholders के साथ और बाकी ESOs के साथ काम करते हैं. हमारा एक प्रोग्राम्स का फंक्शन है रिसर्च का फंक्शन है जिसके बारे में आज कुछ मैं शेयर करूंगी और हमारा एक एक्सेलरेटर भी है
अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन माय नेम इज़ आसिम इसाक मैं NIC पेशावर का प्रोजेक्ट डायरेक्टर हूँ NIC पेशावर फेडरल मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ IT का एक फंडेड प्रोजेक्ट है एंड इट इज़ वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट स्टार्टअप इंक्यूबेटर इन KP NIC पेशावर 2018 से फंक्शनल है और 2018 से we've produced 8 cohorts of startups. इससे पहले I've been associated with the KPIT board. I've worked with the KP government to formulate the digital policy, the first ever provincial digital policy. ज़्यादातर मेरा association projects के साथ ही था तो KPIT board के जितने projects हैं I've got a good understanding of those projects.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. डॉक्टर अली महमूद मैं KPIT बोर्ड का मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर हूँ और मैंने तो इंट्रोडक्शन कल से 2 दफ़ा करा लिया है सो आई होप दैट वुड बी इनफ
My name is Qazi Waheed. I'm assistant professor in strategy and innovation and entrepreneurship at Institute of Management Sciences and I look after the business incubation center at the institute and I also look after the market and outreach and commercialization of the IMSciences project, the tech incubation at Institute of Management Sciences. Plus, I have a research inclination towards understanding the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Pakistan.
I'm Dr. Faisal Khan. I happen to lead the Precision Medicine Lab. It's part of the National Center for Big Data. We're working in the biomedical space from a big data perspective. It's a 4-year-old research lab now based in Peshawar. I'm also a proud co-founder, of course, of Peshawar 2.0, which started a lot of work back in 2012. And currently, I happen to have the privilege to be working closely with the Honorable Minister on Science and Technology, where we're trying to revamp the S&T space, which is pivotal for the tech ecosystem. I'll stop there.
Thank you, everyone. And then lastly, I am Uzair. I am the founder of a digital marketing company called Blimp and also a co-founder at Peshawar 2.0. So first question, Mehvish. I know I2I has been doing these ecosystem studies for the last 3-4 years now, at least. The most recent one, I think that's the one that you have been a part of. Can you give us just a very quick summary of what you found and then also how does that compare to the previous studies that you have been doing so that we can see how the ecosystem has been evolving?
This year we conducted a study with Adam Smith International on the KP startup ecosystem. So I2I जो है वो काफ़ी studies conduct करता है overall national level पे भी. But this was the first provincial study and we're super proud of being the first ones to do it, especially doing it in KP. Their learnings were very interesting and I'll try to keep it as brief as possible because काफ़ी extensive findings थी हमारी. लेकिन हमने 6 pillars को study किया था. पहला तो pillar था वो business support services का था. मैं अभी जो है सिर्फ थोड़े से जो challenges हैं उनको highlight करूँगी. But that does not mean कि सिर्फ challenges ही हैं. लेकिन study का मकसद ये था कि हम उन learning से interventions design करें जो कि in fact बहुत चीज़ों पे काम शुरू हो गया है. KPITB जो है उन चीज़ों पे काम कर रहा है. जो आपके दुर्शल्स और NIC हैं वो भी उन पे काम कर रहा है. पर बिज़नेस सपोर्ट सर्विसेज में सबसे बड़ा जो चैलेंज था वो था मेंटरशिप और नेटवर्किंग का कि जो हमारे स्टार्टअप्स और एंटरप्रेन्योर्स थे वो फील कर रहे थे कि उनके जो रेलेवेंट मेंटर्स हैं और जो अच्छे नेटवर्क्स हैं दे आर नॉट गेटिंग एक्सेस टू दैट. उसके अलावा एक और जो चीज़ फ्लैग की थी वो की गई थी कि जी करिकुलम जो है वो स्पेशलाइज्ड नहीं है और वो स्टेजेस के हिसाब से रेलेवेंट नहीं है. और मैं बहुत हाई लेवल आपको अभी समरी दे रही हूँ. अगर हम एक्सेस टू फाइनेंस की बात करें उसमें ऑफ कोर्स सबसे पहला जो सबसे बड़ा डर था वो ये था कि जी स्केल करने के लिए हमारे पास VC फंडिंग नहीं है. और क्योंकि वो एक वैक्यूम एग्जिस्ट करता है अभी उस वैक्यूम में एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स आते हैं. लेकिन अक्रॉस द बोर्ड हर स्टेक होल्डर से हमने जो बात की हमें ये पता चला कि जो एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स हैं KP इकोसिस्टम के उनको एंजल इन्वेस्टिंग शायद नहीं करनी आती, जिसकी वजह से जो एंटरप्रेन्योर्स हैं उनके पास अगर आप हमारी स्टडी देखें तो less than 80% most founders have less than 80% of ownership in their companies. and अगर आप stages देखें जिस stage पे startups हैं अभी KP में ये equity imbalance जो है वो justified नहीं है. तो उसके ऊपर काफ़ी awareness की काम करने की ज़रूरत है. and plus कोशिश हो रही है कि VCs जो हैं, of course this summit has a large role to play in it, कि VCs भी अब KP के startups को देखें. क्यों नहीं स्टार्टअप्स को देखा जाता? क्योंकि एक और फाइंडिंग थी कि जी KP के स्टार्टअप्स जो हैं वो इन्वेस्टर रेडी नहीं हैं, उनको इन्वेस्टर रेडी करना है. उसके अलावा हमारी जो थी ह्यूमन कैपिटल के ऊपर भी ऑफ कोर्स एक पिलर था जिसमें टैलेंट, टेक टैलेंट एंड जस्ट क्वालिटी ऑफ टैलेंट वाज अ बिग चैलेंज ऑफ कोर्स वेयर वी फील दैट जनरली KP के जो लिटरेसी रेट्स हैं वो बहुत लो हैं. women की लेबर पार्टिसिपेशन बहुत कम है. तो इन चीज़ों को भी एड्रेस करने की ज़रूरत थी. पॉलिसी साइड पे हमने एक डायग्नोसिस की, उसमें भी हमें पता चला ऑफ कोर्स लोग बहुत अप्रिशिएट करे थे कि KPITB का काम क्या हो रहा है टेक के ऊपर, डिजिटाइजेशन के हवाले पे, बिकॉज़ वो एक बहुत बड़ा एक चैलेंज और एक हर्डल है फॉर टेक अडॉप्शन. आपकी अगर पेमेंट्स ऑनलाइन नहीं हो सकनी एक्सेट्रा. उसके अलावा जो चीज़ फ्लैग की गई थी वो थी टैक्सेशन पॉलिसी पे. एंड देन ऑफ कोर्स जेंडर के ऊपर काफ़ी बड़े हमें चैलेंजेस नज़र आए जो पूरे प्रोविंस में हमें नज़र आते हैं. One of the things was of course access to finance, participation in labor forces etc. and then mobility was a massive challenge. इनफैक्ट यहाँ पे जितने भी मर्द हजरात हैं यहाँ प्लीज़ अपने हाथ खड़ा करें. सारे मर्द हजरात अपने हाथ खड़ा करें, सारे के सारे. ग्रेट. और अब आप कमरे में देखें, एक दूसरे को हाथ खड़ा रखें और एक दूसरे को देखें. अब हाथ नीचे कर दें. थैंक यू. और यहाँ पे जितने भी ख़वातीन हैं आप अपने हाथ प्लीज़ खड़ा करें. ग्रेट. और अब सब एक प्लीज़ हैव अ लुक एट द रूम कि कितनी ख़वातीन हैं. मेरे ख्याल से शायद 10 होंगी. So I don't think I need to say more on that end. I'm going to let the rest of the panel now take this discussion forward. But these were some of the findings and I would encourage everyone to please have a look at that study. I'm happy to share our website link, etc. and you'll find it there. But yeah.
That's interesting. So I was just looking at your study earlier and I was actually pleasantly surprised that you said that the study says that 35% of founders are women. And if I'm not wrong, that's actually better than Silicon Valley. What do you think?
So yeah, there are women entrepreneurs that are here. But when we talk about the startup space, so I think one of the other challenges is, and this is not just in KP, but throughout Pakistan, people confuse startup with SMEs and traditional business. اسٹارٹ اپ کا مطلب یہ نہیں ہوتا کہ آپ بزنس اسٹارٹ کر رہے ہیں. اسٹارٹ اپ بہت فرق, اس کی نوعیت بہت فرق ہوتی ہے. وہ ٹیک بیسڈ ہوتا ہے, اس نے بہت اگریسولی اسکیل اپ کرنا ہوتا ہے. سو entrepreneurship, yes, 35%, but if you look at tech-based enterprises, those are very, very few.
I agree. And to be honest, when we look at the ecosystem as a whole, and if we apply that definition of startups, unfortunately, we'll see that most of the people that we do classify as startups are actually just SMEs and not actually tech startups. So I think as a country, we are maybe lacking a bit behind than the world when it comes to actual tech startups. Jahan pe you have explosive growth, you have very tech-focused things. Anyway, so Ali, can you tell us what? So of course you had a great presentation and you gave us an overview of what IT Board has been doing across the board. But can you just focus on what IT Board is doing when it comes to startups, especially with your work at Durshals, and then what's coming up for startups of KP?
So we started this network of incubators called Durshal. تقریباً 4 سال پہلے یہ انیشیٹو لیا گیا تھا, اور اس ٹائم پہ اگر آپ if you go back about 5 to 6 years, تو اسٹارٹ اپ کا ایکو سسٹم there was nothing much in it. اور ہم نے جو ٹرینڈز دیکھے ہیں, ہم جو شروع میں ایک کوہورٹ کے لیے ہم ایڈورٹائز کرتے تھے, اور اب جب ہم کرتے ہیں there has been a significant increase in the number of applications that we get. بہت زیادہ فرق آیا. The startup ecosystem, the growth trajectory has been amazing over the last few years. اور ہر ہفتے یا دوسرے ہفتے نیوز سے پتہ چلتا ہے, کم اکراس دس انفارمیشن کہ ایک اسٹارٹ اپ نے اتنے ملینز ریز کر لیے ہیں, سیریز اے بی سی فنڈنگ. شروع میں سب سے بڑا ایک چیلنج جو آتا تھا وہ یہ آتا تھا کہ وی سی فنڈنگ اویلیبلٹی اس کی نہیں ہوتی تھی, اینجل انویسٹرز بھی نہ ہونے کے برابر تھے. بٹ دیٹ سچویشن ہیز سگنیفیکنٹلی امپرووڈ. اب چیلنج یہ ہے کہ ہم اپنے, ابھی بات ہو رہی تھی تھوڑی دیر پہلے کہ ہم اپنے اسٹارٹ اپس کو کس طرح اتنا کمپیٹیٹیو کریں سو دیٹ دے آر ایبل ٹو ریز مور اینڈ مور فنڈنگ. ایک بات ابھی دوسری یہ ہوئی کہ پارٹیسپیشن آف وومن اور کوالٹی آف آر اسٹارٹ اپس. تو کوالٹی کو انشور کرنے کے لیے ہی وی ہیو دیز ڈفرینٹ اسکل بیسڈ پروگرامس. دیکھیں جتنا اسکلڈ جو کوالٹی, جتنی اچھی کوالٹی ہمارے ہیومن ریسورس کی ہوگی, اتنا ہی اچھی کوالٹی ہمارے اسٹارٹ اپ کی ہوگی اور ہماری کمپنیز کی ہوں گی. اور جو اسٹارٹ اپ ایکو سسٹم کی رپورٹ ہے, آئی واز اے پارٹ آف اٹ, مجھ سے بھی انپٹس لی گئی تھیں اس میں, اینڈ دین وی فیو منتھس اگو وی لانچ دیٹ رپورٹ آلسو, اینڈ اٹ ہیز سم ویری گڈ ریکمنڈیشنز. اور اس میں جو خواتین سے ریلیٹڈ ریکمنڈیشنز ہیں, اس میں ہم نے یہ بھی کیا ہے کہ ود دا جنرس سپورٹ فرام دا ورلڈ بینک وی اسٹیبلشڈ جینڈر انکلوسیو اسپیسز ان آر درشلز. اس سے فائدہ یہ ہوا کہ خواتین کے لیے ایک الگ ورک اسپیس ہم نے کریٹ کی, اور ان کے لیے ہم نے اسپیسیفکلی فیمیل کوآرڈینیٹرز ہم نے ہائر کی, سو دیٹ دے ور مور کمفرٹیبل انٹریکٹنگ ود دیم. اور ان کی جو آؤٹ ریچ کا ایشو تھا وہ ان کی طرف سے کافی حد تک وہ ریزالو ہو گیا. اب شروع میں ہم نے جب یہ درشل کا انیشیٹو لیا تھا, اس ٹائم پہ ایک ایشو یہ تھا کہ کافی گریجویٹس جو تھے وہ ایک, بیکاز وین یو گو فار اے اسٹارٹ اپ ایک رسک آپ لے رہے ہوتے ہیں, انسٹیڈ آف گوئنگ فار اے کنونشنل, وہ آپ ایک جاب کے لیے اپلائی کرتے ہیں, اٹس اے سیفر وے آف آپ کو ایک انکم آ رہی ہوتی ہے ہر مہینے. لیکن جب آپ ایک اسٹارٹ اپ کی طرف جاتے ہیں, اینڈ کیپنگ ان کنسیڈریشن کہ اسٹارٹ اپس کا فیلئر ریٹ جو ہے اٹس اسٹل ہائی تھرو آؤٹ دا ورلڈ, ٹھیک ہے, کہیں پہ کمپٹیشن کی وجہ سے, کہیں پہ ریزنس کین بی ڈفرینٹ, لیکن دیر آر چانسز آف فیلئر بیکاز آف اے ملٹیٹیوڈ آف ریزنس. تو اس کی وجہ سے وہ گھبراتے تھے. سو ہم نے اس کو تھوڑا سا کور کرنے کے لیے وی آفرڈ اسٹائپنڈس. تو اسٹارٹ اپ میں اگر 4 لوگ ہیں تو ہر کسی کو پر اسٹارٹ اپ ممبر ہم 30,000 ہم نے آفر کی پر منتھ فار 6 months. اینڈ دین وی آلسو آفرڈ دیم مینٹرنگ, کوچنگ, کہ وہ اپنا بزنس پلان کس طرح ڈیولپ کریں, اور ہاؤ ٹو پچ دیئر آئیڈیاز, پروڈکٹ, سروسز, سارا کچھ. اینڈ آئی تھنک ویو evolved a lot over the last few years, and we've assessed the impact that our incubators have created. Or ab we are revisiting the whole curriculum, because a lot has changed throughout the world, locally be, regionally be. So we are reassessing the whole structure of the program, and we are going to make some significant interventions to ensure that our startups are even more competitive, and they are able to raise more funding, और जो पार्टिसिपेशन है फीमेल्स की वो भी ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हो. So that's why in parallel we have started these skill-based programs for our women also.
Okay, thank you. So Qazi Saab, I'll ask a more academic question from you. We do have, of course, 3 academics on the table at least, but how do you see, since you have been involved with IMSciences and then the ORIC for, I think, a very good time, many, many years now, and now you're running the Business Incubation Center, also Durshal as well. How do you see the roles of university? Because I'll also comment on what Mehvish said, that most of our entrepreneurs that we see are actually SMEs and not really tech entrepreneurs. So are universities responsible? How do you see the trend changing when you look at maybe like 5 years ago and compare it to today?
Right. So I'll just, in connection to what Mehvish said, the major pillar of entrepreneurial ecosystem, one of the major pillars is the contribution that universities can play in a local entrepreneurial ecosystem. So I would talk for myself, which Institute of Management Sciences is currently doing. So what we do is 2 things. First, we provide the major workforce in this entrepreneurial ecosystem. So the way today, just when I walked in, I see most of my students, one way or the other, connected to this entrepreneurial ecosystem. Be it the NICs, you would see major, and most of the staff, say Bilal, Farhad, and Hira, they're all from the Institute of Management Sciences. So what we do, we provide the workforce. And then obviously, most of the major workforce in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa IT Board and other organizations in KB, they are provided by university and Institute of Management Sciences. So it's good to see them. Secondly, universities should train and should provide new knowledge in terms of entrepreneurial ecosystem. So what we do is, personally, what we have done, most of our faculty, they have come from abroad with PhD degrees in entrepreneurial ecosystem, social innovation, and entrepreneurship. So what we do, we run programs. What we have done so far is we have started a new pathway in one of our major flagship program of BBA. So now you can specialize in finance, marketing, HR, along with innovation and entrepreneurship. So you can do that as well. Simultaneously and in parallel, we run different incubation programs. Say, for example, we run Business Incubation Center in collaboration with Higher Education Commission. And we run IM Durshal, which is the flagship program of KPIT board as well. We have so far graduated 4 cohorts each from each of the incubation centers. So you can see the contribution of academia in terms of all that. Simultaneously, we are running another program with a name called NFTP, which is a National Freelance Training Program, again, co-partnered with the Punjab IT Board and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa IT Board, where we are giving trainings in the current contemporary skills in digital literacy, which is the web development, the digital marketing, and graphic designing. And you would be surprised to know that we had our second cohort inauguration yesterday, where we welcomed all the virtual workers. So this is our contribution in terms of the university being the major pillar of the entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Thank you, Qazi. Asim, great show yesterday. I attended some of the pitches. Can you tell us what your favorite startups from NIC are over the last few years, not just from your time, but over the last few years? And which of the startups that you see are actually, that we can see actually going big in the next few years?
Uzair, you're asking me a very difficult question. I don't have any favorite startups. Actually, we have favorite founders. So any founder that is coachable, that is mentorable, that is, that has a vision, we love working with those founders with grit. So irrespective of the kind of startups we've worked with over the last few years, NIC welcomes anyone who has the perseverance and the grit to take on this challenge and, be the next Mudassir Sheikha or be the next Muneem Mayer out of this city. One of the few things that I wanted to talk about, and just that Mehvish ne mentioned kiya, from the I2I study, the challenges that we've been facing. I think एक चीज़ जो हम miss out कर रहे हैं, we're looking for founders and we're looking for startups probably in a wrong space. हम universities को target करते हैं. We're looking for fresh graduates out of universities. और उसके लिए we try to build programs, try to mitigate the risks associated with unemployment. While the case should be कि जो आपके mature founders निकलेंगे, they would have had some experience with different corporations or different companies, and then they would pursue startup as a career, or the tech ecosystem as a pathway forward. मेरे ख्याल में जो एक चीज़ इस province में that would really help the startup ecosystem to take off is one Kareem. एक Kareem ने produce किए multiple founders that have created such a huge impact in the startup ecosystem. Peshawar का KP का ecosystem इतना mature नहीं है. It's probably less than a decade old. इसको कुछ time लगेगा to evolve and come out and conquer the space. But what I really want to see coming out of the space is the more established IT companies and the more established tech companies really taking up their role. Academia वो कर रहा है अपना जो भी उनकी capacity में जो role वो play कर सकते हैं वो play कर रहे हैं. But it's the more जो हमारे IT parks में companies बैठी हुई हैं, companies like them to come and take forward this role as a mentor, as a guiding pillar for this ecosystem. And I think इसी चीज़ पे अगर हम काम करें तो वो इस पूरे खिते की इस region की जो dynamics हैं उसको बदल सकता है. I think there's scope for a lot of different sectors, बहुत सारे localized problems को. So any startup, any founder looking to work on a localized problem, I think that has got a lot of scope and a lot of ground to cover. आप देख लें किन को success मिली है, अगर बाजार वालों को देख लें, DG खाता वालों को देख लें, so they were solving localized problems. बाइकिया को अगर success मिली है, so there was a localized problem जो वो solve कर रहे थे. पाकिस्तान की अपनी इतनी बड़ी market है, अगर इसी को alone आप capture कर लें, तो वो मतलब we are the 5th largest population in the world. इसी को अगर अकेले capture कर लें, we don't even have to look outside of this country. So yeah, that's about it.
I completely agree, and I do believe that we need to actually look at local problems. Faisal, let's talk science. I know that you have recently joined the Honorable Minister Saab as an advisor as well. Can you tell us what's happening in that area? What are the opportunities? What are the challenges? Anything that you want to share from the science area?
Yep, thank you. I think science is extremely fundamental, and it underlies the entire tech ecosystem for us. I don't know if Jahan remembers, when I came first in 2012, I asked her, Jahan, do we have a pipeline? Because we can incubate all the startups that we have, we can keep rotating, taking turns, we can pick the outliers, but there has to be a pipeline of innovation, of innovators and ideas, of founders and ideas, both, which fills in the ecosystem, replenishes it with fresh people and ideas. And science gives you that foundation to churn out new solutions, new ideas, and bring them to the market. So for us, science is basically people. And when we look at universities, I think we're using the wrong approach. We shouldn't be hunting for fresh graduates and betting on them as founders of the next unicorn. I think we need to pick on research groups led by gurus in their field, which are nice cosmos of innovation. So if you pick a PI in, let's say, Boston, आप एक group leader को देखते हैं, they have postdocs, they have some RAs, senior RAs, they have junior RAs, they have interns. तो एक पूरा माहौल बना होता है within that field around that single PI. That's what churns out founders and innovation. A postdoc might take an idea and run and become a startup after a lot of work experience. There are very few undergrads who are going to launch a startup. I think those are outliers. So for us in science, the question now is, where are those groups in KP, where are those pockets of excellent research which could churn out perpetually, ideally, new ideas and talent. So again, KP mein, we're trying to narrow down or focus on certain areas, identify all these research groups, and begin to, on a bigger government scale, begin to help catalyze and flourish that foundational sort of layer beneath the technology ecosystem. I am I'm very unhappy about the lack of discussion around this topic. I think even in Mehvish's report, I2I's report, universities are the the elephant which is not there, which is not touched. I think all these training programs that we do are because someone's not doing their job in the university, right? And that's why we're looking for quick training and upskilling program. You can only upskill a person if they do have their basic skills right. So a lot needs to be spoken about and done at universities. And it's both ways. Agar aap hamare bachchon ko dekhein, COVID was a nice litmus test. People didn't want to attend online classes. तो एक तरफ से फैकल्टी में मसले थे, दूसरी तरफ से स्टूडेंट अटेंड नहीं करना चाह रहे थे. शायद वो हंगर नहीं था, शायद वो एक्साइटमेंट नहीं था अराउंड साइंस या टेक्नोलॉजी या whichever subject they're studying. So again, we really need to talk about the university, the government. When we talk about innovation and entrepreneurship, we should rope in HEC and HED, higher education department. उसके बगैर हम कुछ नहीं करने वाले. Higher education department needs to enable and give some liberty to universities to do their own stuff according to their environment. अगर वो शिरिंगल में हो या phase 7 में हो, I think those are different places and they need to kind of cook things differently. So I think for me, science is extremely fundamental. It's the source of all those new ideas and people. And I'm not pointing to undergrads. I'm pointing to those microcosms of innovation in terms of a PI leading a nice group, a healthy group, which is not churning out papers only, also prototypes. I think that's what we need to go towards. And that's what where magic will happen, I think. I'll stop there.
Thank you. So I've been asked to cut the discussion short, but I just have one more question that each one of you can answer. What sector is it that you guys personally believe in? Where do we see the first unicorn of Pakistan coming from? One by one, please.
Can I? Sorry. I wanted the discussion to, incline toward what Dr. Faisal said. I would have said that earlier, but would have sounded very different. That entrepreneurial ecosystem as an academic, because my PhD output would say the same, that it is a very under-theorized and underdeveloped phenomena. So we see all practitioners, but we do not see researchers in this area. The reason we can come up with, I'm not against the studies that are conducted by CEDO and others, these are only the representation of certain ecosystems that would present you the different statistics. But what we actually need in terms of research, we need to see and identify the configuration through which these interdependence about and the relationship of all these stakeholders would work in order to have a greater output and have a vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystems in the region. So I would love to see another study conducted in a different economic trajectory of Lahore and Islamabad and do a comparative analysis with Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Peshawar in particular to see how the relationships of these entrepreneurial ecosystem elements would interact with. So again, yes, I second him. It's an under-researched, underdeveloped area. It has become more practitioner phenomena in KP and rest of Pakistan rather than a research phenomena.
Okay, so back to the question, favorite sectors. Mehvish, can we start with you?
Okay, so I'll start. For KP, my favorite sector is tourism, and I'd like to see a unicorn coming out of tourism sector. I think there's plenty of potential. I think there are plenty of unaddressed areas, and I think there would be a startup out of KP becoming a unicorn in this sector.
Yeah. So, Mehvish?
Yeah, I mean, for yesterday, I was really excited to see the activewear startup that was there, and I agree with Asim as well. I think tourism is a very, very exciting space that and has a lot of potential. Would love to see more startups in that space as well.
Okay, Ali.
It can be potentially agri-tech. The way State Bank has been evolving its regulations to create more space for fintechs, that can be something, an area where we can see the next unicorn. You see the unicorn, whatever the product, service, or a platform it comes up with, it has to offer some value, not just locally, but at a global
Internationally as well.
scale. And what Dr. Faisal said, उनकी बातों में बहुत वजन है और कुछ areas ऐसे हैं जिसको हमने tap ही नहीं किया. For example, we talk about the fourth industrial revolution.
Yeah.
Lekin there is something on which people are working. It's quantum computing. And if anybody is able to achieve quantum supremacy, we can easily go into the fifth industrial revolution. It's going to change everything. But we don't have a critical mass of people in that area. और वो जो बात कर रहे हैं, तो वो इसी तरह की pockets की बात कर रहे हैं. If we have a certain, a group which is working on this, and it has the kind of critical mass, even the minimum critical mass that's working in that area, I think a lot of good things can come out of it.
Great. Qazi.
I second, agree, fintech, more startups in IoT, artificial intelligence, and we would love to incubate them and train them and mentor them over a period of time.
Faisal.
I don't know about unicorns, but, and I'm biased of course, but I'm extremely excited about medicine and biology. I honestly think these are the next big things, not just globally, but in KP as well. And there are two reasons. KP is blessed with the densest cluster of healthcare in phase 5. It's not matched anywhere in the country, and we're doing a study now with IMSciences as well on this. So a lot of people come here to get healthcare and associated sort of services. And there's a lot to be done there. On the biology side, again, KP makes an extremely amazing lab because of phenomena like tribalism and cousin marriages. So KP में सबसे ज़्यादा जो genetic pool जो है, it's the most diverse and yet exclusive. So those who understand biology, this is going to be the richest source of DNA data anywhere in the globe. I don't even think the Middle East matches it, because for different reasons, historical reasons, caste systems, subcontinent के और हमारे यहाँ tribal और cousin marriages की वजह से, it's deeply entrenched, and it will be very interesting to see the amount of data that comes out and the startups accompanying them. So next 5 years, I think it's biology and medicine.
Thank you very much. I wish we had more time for more discussion, but key takeaways for the youth here. If you are a young student or a graduate or someone with actually business experience, areas that you need to look at are tourism, agri-tech, fintech, AI, IoT, and med and bio. Thank you very much.